these are my babies. These are what I use every day. I haven't gone as far to naming each one, but these are my babies. I use them all the time, and each one has its own purpose. This one always pre-drills for hinges. This one always is set up for this bit, that bit, drilling, and more drilling. Every one of these is set up for me for particular purposes in different situations. If you're a do-it-yourselfer hobbyist, you can definitely use one bit and use all the bits in this one piece. These are impact drills, and the way to open them is you slide the front open, that unlocks it, and then you can pull your bit out. So these drills are great. They're lightweight because the motor is so compact. You're not carrying around the weight of this drill, which has a transmission in it. This has a forwards and backwards screw point, and then the drill trigger is here. Everyone has different size batteries, again, for different weight on your wrists especially. They're all purpose built. These are the simplest drills. This is a very sophisticated complex. There's different brands out there, Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt. I like Makita just for what I'm doing, but these are the simple impact drills. This is kind of your fully loaded model. It has a larger transmission in it. It has 3 mode settings. So this one is screw, this one is drill, and then this is actually a hammer drill. In the woodworking world, I never use the hammer drill. I do use the drill. It locks up the transmission so it doesn't slip. And then when I'm using small screws, this is what I do. And depending on the screw, the size of the screw, I'll have different settings. Just by picking up this drill, the last thing was an interior screw that I was doing. If I was doing an exterior screw, which is quite a bit thicker, I would set it up to the 13 setting. The settings are just, yeah, it's a torque setting. So on the 1 setting, I can put my finger, whoops, there's not a lot of torque to pull the screw together. But if I go to a higher setting, grab the, let's go to the highest setting. There's a lot more force with it. So these are really important for certain screws because you don't want to overdrive them and split wood. So again, for us, this is a critical piece of equipment, and these are my babies, like I said. I found that a 7 for our application in most woods works, but if we're using hardwoods, for example, we might need to bump this up a couple of settings because the wood is so hard, it needs more force to really drive that screw. So you can use these as kind of like areas, and every drill is different. So you want to know your equipment and know how it acts, and then you adjust from there. This one also has a 2-stage transmission. So if I go to the 1 setting, it doesn't go very quickly. If I go to the 2 setting, much quicker. So if I was using a drill, for example, I would want it on the 2 setting, but if I'm screwing in a screw into the hole, you'd want it at a lower setting so you're not damaging the product that you're using.
Honestly, I'm learning so much right now. I didn't know any of these options were a thing. I knew forward and reverse. Like I
said, there's forward, reverse, transmission, settings, torques, and we haven't even talked about how to undo it. So I'm not pressing any buttons with this one. I'm just rotating it. And then this is the chuck, and the drill comes out, or the bit comes out. Same thing, you put the chuck back in and you turn it the opposite way. The chuck tightens up. Those clicks, you want to hear that because the chuck is now tight and this bit is not going to slip. So those are important. I'm on these drills all the time. They are heavy. Like this one is significantly heavier than this one. When I'm hard on the drills, I can be doing between 2,000 and 4,000 trigger pulls a day. So what that means is I'm installing about 2,000 screws because there's 1,000 holes and then 1,000 screws to go in those holes. So I'm on these a lot. These are my babies. I would not have a shop without drills. That's how important they are. They are essential for what I do. And even if I was at home not working at a door shop, I would want drills. So worth the money, worth the investment. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there telling you how to do fine woodworking out there, but I'm going to give you the really short version. For woodworking, you have to know the wood you're in, the screw that you're using, the bits, the sizes, all that back information to have it successful. You essentially want the shaft of the screw to be the same size as the hole. That way, when the drill or the screw goes into the hole, it's not expanding and allowing it to the wood to split. So this is one of the cracked pieces I had before, but it's not cracked on the end. So I'm going to take this, and because it's close to the end, it's going to split. How do you know this? Because I've done a couple. So I'm not pre-drilling and I'm inserting it close to the end. Probability will say it will split.
Wow.
Which it did. So we're going to take the other piece. We're going to pre-drill it. And then we're going to add our screw into it. And it's not split. So removing that material from the hole is really important to make sure that you don't split your wood. So these are the impact ones. These are kind of grunt drills. They don't have the torque settings like I was mentioning before, but this is what we use for our jamb or our doors. It's quite a bit thicker than these pieces. So because this piece is thicker and this is thinner, this has a higher tendency for cracking just because there's not the material there to hold it together. So when I'm installing these together, I want to make sure my screw goes through and that it engages into the second piece. This screw has a lot of side force, so I don't want to be doing or screwing that in because it has a high probability of failure. When I screw in a piece, I want to be as far in as I can, so I decrease my splitting probability. But if I'm further over, then I could split this way. So I actually want to go in and then angle back when I'm putting these screws in. If you look at the head of the screw, the shaft is the same, but the head acts as a wedge right here. And that wedge, I do not want to be driving into thin wood. So I don't want to drive this all the way through. I'm going to leave the head proud so it doesn't wreck the wood that I'm working on. This goes in. If that's the halfway point on this piece, I'm going over a bit and then I'm tilting back. And again, I'm doing that so this screw is going to be in the meat of the header. And then when I screw it, so this screw would be laying on top just like that. So because it's on the angle, the threads are in the meat here, and because this head is not sunk all the way in, that wedge is not splitting this piece of wood. So that's the proper and safe way to make sure that your wood doesn't split. I've been using this technique. I've been having over 99% success rate, which means I'm not ripping it all apart. I'm not having to glue it. I'm not having to clamp it. I'm not destroying the wood that I'm working on. If you drove that head even a couple millimeters or 1/16 of an inch more, your probability of cracking this piece would probably jump to 50%. It's that high. So these little details really determine your success rate when woodworking, and that's critical.
Okay.
So just to show you the success rate of how proud that head is, I'm going to overdrive this to see when this piece is gonna split. This case it didn't, but because this is vertical grain wood, this has a very high probability of cracking. So I got away lucky this time, but I'm a betting man and I want the best success chance possible, so don't overdrive this. That's actually really surprising it didn't break.